What do you refuse to spend money on? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. Extended warranties or insurance plans on any small consumer products, computers, phones, microwaves, coffee makers. Just a general policy of mine. I feel the cumulative savings from not purchasing all those warranties would more than offset the cost of a repair or replacement if something would fail. The only one I may possibly consider is maybe on a car. Answer: the replacement certificates that Discount Tire offers are absolutely worth it. They will repair or replace any tire failure for free. The cost is like the cost of the tires. Every set of tires I have ever purchased from them had a certificate replacement. It's extra nice when your summer tires are $400 each. The dude even told me that so long as they are over like 532 of tread, if a nail were to find its way into the sidewall towards the end of the warranty period, they'd still replace it for free. Sorry, Discount Tire, I got a single nail in the sidewall of 4 different tires. Story 2. Family members that are financially irresponsible. Don't ask me for rent or grocery money when you just bought a 5,000 treadmill you are using as a clothing rack. Story 3. Expedited shipping. I will always choose the cheapest free option unless it's some rare emergency. I can wait. Story 4. In-app purchases in games or any downloadable content. When did we get to a point where you pay $60 for a game where one of its features relies on you buying 10 blind bags? Answer: check out First Descendant and then never again. Freemium game on Xbox and PC and such, and having game timers for constructing stuff and tons of ways to pay to accelerate. I don't understand how people enjoy that or don't see it as wasteful. It's not even good gameplay. Personally, I do buy DLC for games, but it's for games I already enjoy. Borderlands, Mario Kart, etc. Games where I buy every ounce of content because I'll use it over and over again, but if a game started free, odds are they never get any money from me. Story 5. Food I can cook at home. If I'm going out and spending restaurant money, I'm not ordering fucking pasta. Story 6. In-game currency to win faster than other players. I may buy the skins since they are just decorative, but never pay to simply get ahead. Story 7. Additional purchases on free games. Example: Fortnite. I downloaded it for free but refused to buy V-Bucks or Battle Pass. The game is the same and I don't need the skins and things to enjoy it. Story 8. If I see the same commercial or ads multiple times, it makes me avoid their product entirely. Ads on sports jerseys, nonstop brought to you by... I'm definitely not the consumer target. Story 9. Things that are just totally unnecessary. I heard recently that a multi-millionaire celebrity couple spent over $40,000 on flowers for their wedding. What a waste. It could have been spent on housing and feeding children, helping to end domestic violence, saving children and families overseas, etc. But instead it was spent on flowers. Flowers, it just makes me ugh. Story 10. Anything advertised on Instagram, snake oil salesmen, the lot of them. From the latest vitamin to take, the latest hydration product to the most hideous jewelry. Story 11. Air for my tires. I'd probably roll right by a pump I had to pay for the air while puttering along with a flat tire. All air should be free to fudge. Story 12. Clothes. I buy the majority of my clothes at discount stores like TJ Maxx, Walmart, Temu, and thrift stores. The only thing I spend money on is shoes because I tried cheap shoes and got bad blisters from them. Answer: I like Ross too. It's hit or miss, but I got a pair of jeans and a nice shirt last time, plus some skincare products. I have found a few good things at a bin discount store. Got a nice dress shirt for my grandson for $3 this past month. I buy good shoes, Skechers Memory Soles mainly, but wait till they are on sale because I dislike paying full price for things like that. Story 13. Extended warranties on cheap electronics. If a 30 gadget breaks after a year, you'd rather replace it than pay an extra $15 up front just in case. Feels like insurance for stuff I can live without. Story 14. Ultra fancy restaurants where a meal costs $150-$500 person and you leave still being hungry. The food portions are sample size but look like art on a plate. Still not clear who the target audience of such cuisine is. Now, story 15. Food delivery. I think paying for a private food taxi is a horrible waste. I will always go pick it up e-GAFA. Answer: delivery services are a waste for you because you have a car and the mobility to manage it yourself. For others like me with temporary or permanent disabilities, it's a lifeline. No car can hardly wobble to the front gate safely. My days of walking home my groceries in a backpack are over for the foreseeable future. Besides, money is never partied too hard unless you burn it. Every service or product you buy always goes to ultimately pay somebody's rent or food bill or utilities or educational expenses or medical expenses or for clothing shoes in return for their labor. Story 16. Haircuts. Been doing it myself since 2018. I cut my hair once a week and do a skin fade in about 10 minutes, so I saved a good amount of money for sure. Story 17. Anything that is a pop-up ad video, or sponsored content. If I go off and research it, then I may buy it, but I won't click on the ads or offers. Story 18. Food delivery. If I can't get my jerk up to drive to a restaurant for pickup, then I don't deserve the meal, LOL. Story 19. Water. There is no bottled water in our house. Our local water is very clean. The amount of plastic bottles people throw away without thought makes me sick. Answer. Well, it would be valid if tap water around the world was actually clean and safe to drink. Don't get me wrong, I understand where you're getting at, but sometimes drinking tap water is actually dangerous. Life-threatening even. Some countries, including mine, have different standards in water purification. The purification of general-purpose water is vastly different from that of drinking water. Some people might prefer bottled water than water from a water fountain or from the tap just for safety reasons. Story 20. A new phone. Mandatory obsolescence can suck my male body part. Still using my Note 9 from 2017. Unless it stops working, why would I spend $2K on another one? Story 21. New movies that are sequels, prequels, or reboots of mega hits more than 10-15 years old since the original release. Tired of great original movies being destroyed by a half-baked remake that's only a quick cash grab with no substance. Story 22. YouTube Premium. I will find a way no matter how bothersome to watch YouTube without ads on any device. Answer. YouTube Premium is the only streaming platform that I pay for. I could care less about Spotify, Pandora, or the other popular ones. If I want to listen to a low-quality, left-channel-only rip of Black Sabbath at Roskill Performance from 1998, I can do it without ads, and no other streaming service has it. The only issue is when people have playlists for events that I provide sound reinforcement for, almost no one has one for YouTube. Story 23. Makeup. Not only does it ruin your skin, but it's also really expensive. Not only that, but it's also super obvious you wear it, so what's the point? I am pretty on my own. Story 24. Parking. If you weigh the money spent on parking in 1 year against the money in tickets, the money spent on tickets is always less. Story 25. Movie theater tickets. I just wait until it's on Netflix or Apple TV. That way, I don't have to drive across town to overspend. What is it, about 15 these days? And I don't risk the two people with the box of jujubes who won't shut up sitting next to me. Story 26. DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart. Seriously, people are too fudge lazy. You have to order online? You have time to get it yourself. I'm excluding those who are literally unable to move due to a disability, but otherwise get in your fudge car drive to a drive-through or have curbside delivery. If you can't afford a car, you shouldn't be paying quadruple for food versus getting it Tech the Source either, in my opinion. Answer. Just an FYI, sometimes people can't get it themselves. My mother doesn't drive and lived in Florida for years. Instacart, Amazon are far cheaper than her taking a rideshare both ways to the grocery store. Likewise, I work from home and my wife drives to work. We order 90 of our groceries for a family of 4 online. It would take more money to drive to the grocery on a weekday after work. My wife is a school teacher, drives 40 minutes home. The service is 8 months. This is nothing compared to the benefit versus time gas to get groceries or having a second car, gas, insurance, upkeep, just so I can grab milk and bread once a week. Story 27. Steaks at fancy steakhouses. Cooking a steak is easy with a minimum of effort. It doesn't make sense to spend $75 for a ribeye that I can buy at the same butcher shop the restaurant does for $16. Story 28. Electronic gambling. Playing poker on a machine. They'll play it physically. Uber, they're just a really shoot company. And when you have a fraud complaint telling them someone's stolen your login and changed the contact details, their answer is, well, as you aren't calling from the current number on the account, we can't help you. Shoes. But I'm not refusing to spend any money. I just don't see why they ought be $50-$80. I used to be able to buy a decent pair for $10-$15, an expensive pair for $30, and they'll last me an awful long time. Now they're poorer quality, but twice the price. The last 2 or 3 pairs I bought were between $25 and $40, and they fell apart within a year. In the past, I've had them for best part of a decade. Designer clothes, just why? A guy I was in training with used his first payday to buy an 80 Lacoste polo t-shirt and was walking about like he owned the place. I went to Poundland and bought the same color polo, probably even exactly the same shirt, and a green marker pen, totaled about £6. I put a green dot on the shirt, and everyone thought I bought one too. The only people who noticed were those who came and stood 1 or 2 steps away from me and realized it wasn't a tiny embroidered crocodile, but a green splodge. He was really pissed at me. Story 29. New clothes from a store mall. I buy from secondhand stores, marketplace, etc. I see my friends spend $400 on an Aritzia jacket when I get them for $40. Story 30. Streaming platforms, cable, fast food, DoorDash, delivery, booze at bars, low-quality, name-brand products worshipped by all. Someone to do my oil changes, Airbnbs, books, tickets to concerts, sporting events. Call me old-fashioned or a stick in the mud, but I refuse to pay inflated prices for utter shoot. Story 31. Processing transaction, service fee for concert tickets. The additional fees can be more than the ticket itself. Story 32. Haircut. I bought some Walls trimmers in the early 1980s when a haircut went up to $3. I have shaved my head with the same trimmers weekly since. Story 33. My nails hair makeup to get done by someone else. The beauty industry has become ridiculously overpriced for basic services that end up coming out like crap half the time anyway, and I have learned to do so much of it at home. Story 34. Ordering pasta at a restaurant. I can make it the same at home for way cheaper. I always choose a steer else. Story 35. Cable TV. What a waste of money. I stream absolutely everything and I love it. It's cheaper and so convenient. Story 36. Ungrateful family. If you can't be bothered to say thank you, I can't be bothered to spend my hard-earned money on you. So don't be outraged that I didn't get you anything for your birthday or Christmas. I give the money I would have spent on them to the local food bank or veterans organization. I know they are grateful for it. Story 37. Home internet. I'm okay with mirroring my phone to the TV. I don't watch Netflix or any shows or the news. Story 38. Chick-fil-A. It's a chicken sandwich and it's flavorless and slimy. I can buy better waffle fries frozen at the grocery store and make them myself. I don't care about their lemonade either. I don't support their homophobic views either. I will not patronize that ridiculous, overrated place. Story 39. Green onions, I started growing them during COVID, and mine taste better than store-bought every day of the week. Story 40. Illicit substances, cigarettes, or adult beverage. I used all at one time and managed to stop, so please don't expect me to support a habit I disdain. Story 41. Paying back my student loan to this joke of government, especially when I make more, in a field you don't need a degree for. College is a scam. Story 42. Soda, fizzy drinks, pop, flavors, drinks. It's all a scam. Your body only requires one liquid. All the rest is just a money grab. It's water that's flavored and marked up hundreds or thousands %. Just drink the water. Story 43. Gambling. I'd never ever risk my money or risk getting addicted. I dislike the idea of losing money like that. I keep getting the ads though. However, I keep my stance. Story 44. Food delivery services. We either go out, eat at home, or grab takeout. Rarely. Even if we order pizza, we go pick it up. Also, nail salons. I can do my nails at home. The price has doubled to get a manicure done in the last 3 years. Story 45. Time with people. There used to be lots of free spaces to spend time with people and really chill hangouts. I don't see why we need to go spend money in order to spend time together. Story 46. Make up all the girls that spend like $200 a month at Sephora could be investing. I'm sure they probably could be even with spending $200 at Sephora. But it's just crazy the amount of money women spend for makeup. I'm not saying that I don't buy something here and there, but maybe 15 in 6 months. But each is to their own, another is subscription. I don't pay for any subscription besides Spotify. I do have cable with free subscription of Crave, which is $20 a month. But I refuse to pay for multiple subscriptions at once. Story 47. Private pictures. I like the empowerment that OnlyFans and such provides for people, but the narcissism and entitlement that it instills in young models is disgusting. And what it has done for the dating scene might be worse for the world than global warming. Story 48. Expensive planting soil or overpriced nursery pots. I use plastic containers I recycle. The stuff that plants I buy comes in, or the cheapest nursery pot packs I can find. I just use my own compost, and if it's too rich, I mix it with the cheapest soil I can find, if not digging it up from somewhere on my property. Buying those raised bed specific soils or the other bullshit organic stuff is so stupid. LOL, you can make your own dirt, people. It's dirt. Story 49. I have always wondered why people spend money on OnlyFans. Like Simon Web is full of free pics if need them. Story 50. Microtransactions on gacha games. Like I get why people do it, but how I see it for myself, I'm not getting a physical item I can enjoy for a long time. And eventually these games don't last forever. So spending on pulling cards or whatever is a waste of money. Story 51. Food delivery services, single-use battery chargers, gaming battle passes, valet parking, lawn care, automatic car washes, gas station sushi, anything over MSRP such as scalpers or dealership markups, etc. Story 52. Budgeting trackers lists, even though they look nice, you still have to print them out, and my printer is only okay. Then you have to print more each month. I just use a notebook and keep track. Story 53. A doctor's note for the school once my parent excuse notes are used up. If my kiddo doesn't need a doctor's care, a cast, antibiotics, or some other prescription, or something else I can do at home, we go without a doctor visit note for the school. It's just an unexcused absence. Story 54. Fake nails. Done myself. Do not need to spend the time or the on them. Am not from Beverly Hills, so really who cares? Story 55. Any broadcasted signal that I can capture in my home. If you don't want me opening and inspecting what you are sending me, stop sending it. Story 56. Hundreds of paid subscriptions. I only have like 2. Friends of mine are subscribed to literally everything. Story 57. Switch 2, with all the bad practices that Nintendo has been doing, especially with their products keys for games. I refuse to buy one unless I can actually own my games. I know the practice is similar to Steam games, but my main issue is that I cannot buy a physical copy of the game on Steam. Switch 2, I can. Plus, if I have to pay an extra $30 to play Bo TW on Switch 2, F that. Story 58. Manicures, pedicures. I'm from the generation where we did have nail salons on every corner. It was for the wealthy. Also, our nails weren't polished unless we had somewhere to go. Wedding, birthday, anniversary, etc. I buy what I need to make my nail look groomed. Story 59. A different subscription plan to get rid of ads. I shouldn't have to pay extra for no ads when I'm already paying $10 a month. Story 60. Anything with big logos, they're tacky, and why would I pay more to become a walking advertisement for the company? Edit. Also, any subscriptions aside from streaming services, give me older appliances that just do their jobs and function without a monthly fee. Forced subscriptions make the products not worth buying. Story 61. The same product with a 20 price increase, especially if its ingredients have been switched out to water, HFCS, and palm oils. Or the same product at the same price with a 20 size decrease. I can't believe how much stuff I'm thriving without. Plus, I've lost weight and I'm feeling confident. And I have extra money. Story 62. Cable TV. I get 90 of the channels I want using antenna, and get the rest via highly discounted streaming services. Peacock is free thanks to my cell plan, which is also very cheap through Xfinity. I'm currently paying 99 cents a month for Hulu. I do pay full price for Amazon Prime, but largely pay for that with $5 cash back on the Amazon Prime credit card. And when all else fails, VPN is my friend. Story 63. I will not pay someone to do my nails. I've been doing my own for the past year and they're better for me. I also won't pay someone to color my hair. If I can do it myself, I'm not paying to get it done by someone else. Story 64. Adult content. Never understood why anyone would pay for something when there's petabytes of it for free. Story 65. I don't pay to see commercials. If a streaming service I subscribe to and pay for moves to showing ads, I dump it. Story 66. Haircuts or color done by a professional. I have a buzz cut so I can handle doing that haircut on myself. Always dyed my own hair when I had it too. Wasn't perfect, but got the look I wanted for a fraction of the cost. Even if I grew my hair out, I'd still do my own haircuts. I've never cared much if it came out wrong. You simply buzz it off again. I also dye my sister's hair. If she had a more specific look she wanted, it'd say a professional would be the way to go. She's pretty open though, so we can do it at home, no problem. Story 67. Anything I can build myself. Dashcam app wants to charge for the features I actually need. Spend 3 months making my own Upwork wants to remove RSS and start charging for alerts. Now I have my own scraper streaming apps, segmented out to cost more than cable. Welcome to my 10TW automated Plex server, etc. Story 68. DoorDashUber. Like who wants to pay inflated rates for food to be delivered by someone that's expecting an enormous tip to bring you cold food in a toxic, nasty, unclean car? I get it's tempting, but it makes no sense. Story 69. The latest cell phone model. I don't need to keep up with the Jones gym memberships. Catch me outside hiking, soft drinks when getting food to go. I brought my H20 continuous haircuts color style. Once a year, getting my nails done monthly. I'll do it myself. Car wash and interior detail. I'll do it myself. Story 70. The Nintendo Switch 2. Too many original consoles mysteriously breaking down just in time. Not to mention virtual-only games is roadside robbery. Story 71. Any football on streaming services, if it means that eventually it's either pay or don't see any, so be it. Story 72. Brand name sunglasses. The dupes from Amazon are quite similar. I don't feel terrible if I lose them. Story 73. Croûton. It's just stale bread cut up and toasted with some oil and seasoning. Why throw out stale bread, then pay for a bag full of mediocre croutons? Story 74. DoorDash the like. We used it during the Texas freeze a few years back because our insurance was refunding the purchases, and we haven't used it again since then. Shoot is so exorbitantly expensive. Fudge hell. Story 75. Water. I'll buy bottled water only when I absolutely have to, but otherwise I carry a reusable bottle everywhere. Story 76. I have not once in my life spent 1 red cent gambling, never bought a lotto ticket, not a scratch off, never been to a casino, never made a bet. I don't judge those who do though. Story 77. I live a very simple and frugal lifestyle and am happy that way. I own a house and a decent car, but I don't spend money on unnecessary stuff. I am in my mid-50s and live in Florida, so I wear shorts and tank tops most of the year. I prefer to make my own food and eat in front of a good movie or the computer as opposed to going out. We do our own lawn care, pest control, and we try to do any needed household repairs ourselves. I bargain shop for gasoline with help from the Gas Buddy app. I see too many materialistic people which I have no desire to be like. Story 78. DoorDash, Uber Eats. Being lazy is a disease. It's crazy ridiculous to pay that much for horrible food. I have some neighbors that do sometimes as much as 2-3 meals in a single day, and they look like it. Story 79. No dislike here, please. I refuse to spend money with a dog-cat breeder when there are so many wonderful pets at the local shelters that come spayed, neutered, microchipped, etc. Story 80. Rounding up for a charity. Why should I give a company a tax write-off that makes billions a year? The company isn't matching or giving on their own. Story 81. A brand new car because of how fast they depreciate. I'm also concerned about the amount of surveillance built into them. Story 82. Camping. Like outside of the equipment. I refuse to pay the state government to allow me to sleep outside. I would rather drive further to BLM non-pay camping or risk the ticket. Story 83. I used to think designer bags were overhyped, but after my first Gucci purchase, I'm already planning my next one and the one after that. It's a slippery slope, but I totally get the hype now. Story 84. E-scooters. Insanely stupid. Ridiculously dangerous. Look at head trauma rates in any city 1 week after those dumb things were released, or just observe people on them. Pure chaos. If you do ride one, wear a helmet. Story 85. News on the internet. I can access my local news website for free for news and weather. All I need. Story 86. Getting my hair done. I sacrifice time and sanity to do it myself. It's not always perfect, and sometimes I make choices I regret, but I learn. Haven't been to a professional for more than highlights in decades, and I get compliments enough to feel justified on my path. Story 87. Any ad that I've ever seen no longer will buy your product. If you disrupt my free time with your shoot ad, I won't buy from you. Story 88. Apparently televisions. I seem to magically just get them somehow. People give them to me, I win them, whatever. Story 89. Lanky Box merch. These idiots rank somewhere far below what is considered brain rot. Now they've entered the toy market with their overpriced trash. My 5-year-old's mother bought him a mystery box for $40, and the rubble it contained was barely worth $5 at that. Fudge those guys for taking advantage of kids. If anybody knows the blonde one, tell him I want to punch him in the chest. Peace. Story 90. Manicures and acrylic nails. I learned how to do them myself because I found that no matter where I went, I was always disappointed. Story 91. More than one streaming service, i.e. Netflix. I'll use a VPN in conjunction with Netflix to often find the movie series I want. Story 92. A Switch 2. What a generational leap that thing is. So tired of Nintendo selling the same things franchises over and over again. Story 93. Donating to live streamers. I enjoy watching some streams, but I just can't bring myself to spend money on donations or super chats. I'd rather support in other ways, like watching their content or sharing it. Money's tight, and I've got my own bills to cover. Story 94. printing paper, and shipping boxes. I do resale on eBay and TCG Player with my sister, and I'll be fudge if I ever pay for paper. I either steal from work or recycle spam mail. You can't see what's on the other side of the shipping label after it's taped on. I don't need to use boxes often, but I keep every Amazon delivery packaging box I get. Only envelopes and bubble mailers shall have access to my wallet because they cannot be recycled while looking professional. Story 95. Bottled water. I work in retail and see people pay more for water than petrol in a country that has safe tap water in all metropolitan and 99 of regional areas. Then they complain about the cost of groceries. Male body part heads. I live in regional Australia. Story 96. Any kind of streaming service. I may not be the best at sailing, but I'll always get where I'm going eventually. Story 97. Intimacy. I can jerk off for free, and I give myself the world's best hand jobs as far as I am concerned. In all seriousness, intimacy without the passion and love feeling mutual doesn't sound enjoyable at all to me. I have been blessed with a pretty darn good relationship for almost a year now, and I feel like the intimacy I get to have with my partner is priceless. I wouldn't pay a nickel for the most attractive person in the world. I am happy with what I have. Story 98. Women. I may not have a job right now or much money, but when I do, I'm keeping 100 after taxes and not sharing. Story 99. Expensive shoes. Once you stop walking with a heel strike, you can wear anything. The big cushy soles have created a dependence cycle that creates knee, hip, and back problems. And then they tell you the solution is more expensive shoes and surgery. Story 100. So many things. Any paid TV service, designer anything, new clothes, new cars, restaurants, theaters, bars. Luckily, most of the stuff I like is free. Story 101. Game Pass. I'm on Core, but I refuse to go higher. There's nothing on there I want, and I mostly play free games anyways. For Game Pass to be worth it, I'd to play a new game every week or every few days. Story 102. A lot of people are saying clothes. Yes, expensive name brand garbage is a bad buy, but timeless quality isn't. Story 103. I refuse to pay for paper bags at stores. It frustrates me so much that they eliminate plastic bags and plastic straws, but give us a plastic cup or lid. A bit counterintuitive. Story 104. Real estate taxes. I pay tax one time on every product I buy, but real estate I have to pay it every year, like I just bought it on top of state tax and federa. I pay for all necessary services state has to provide. Why pay again? If you live in an expensive neighborhood, you for sure make more money and pay more federal and state tax. Why charge it again? Can anybody tell me if I am wrong? Story 105. Anything that causes helplessness, forced sleep deprived, crying, unfairness, pain, poverty to small children, night shift workers, day shift workers. Story 106. Prepared food delivery. I will do grocery delivery in an extreme pinch. I just cannot stand spending money on the delivery fee as well as the tip for the driver. Either I will go get it or I don't need it enough to justify the cost. Story 107. I went through a COD crazy in 2020-2023 where I was buying a ton of skins. No added benefit, just thought they were cool. When Warzone 1 ended, I lost all those skins. Now I have a ton in the current Warzone, but I just don't like the game anymore. Probably lost like 250 to in-game skins, even more if you count buying the 100 edition of the games. These days, I'm back to slow-paced fun. Spent a lot of time on Schedule 120. Story 108. Apparently a new backpack. It was in a motorcycle accident and slid down the road with me on top of it. One of the straps broke. None of the plastic clips that keep the lid of the pack down work. They're broken. The chest strap is broken. The pull cord to make it the bag opening tight, well, that's broke too. It's not even an expensive backpack. It was like $25, and I still have it, and for some reason just won't get a new one. Story 109. A new car. Look, I've had my 2009 since I graduated high school. She is the best darn car in the world. Regular maintenance, fixing her whenever something starts to act up. I have around 183,000 miles. For reference, she's a Chevy. I will drive that car until the wheels come off. Story 110. Streaming services. I got rid of cable TV in 2009 because I'd invested in a DVD-BDD collection, added to it as time went by. I don't need to steam anything. Story 111. Expensive watches, jewelry, things like bottle service or courtside seats. He'd rather spend big money on custom-made boots, shoes, travel, philanthropy. Story 112. Anything from sites and apps like Temish and AliExpress, and I like them. I refuse to take part in what is essentially human slavery. Story 113. Hair and nails. Cut my own hair. It's curly. How can you mess it up? Don't color it. Do my own mani-pedi. Story 114. PCP, heroin, meth, bath salts, things like that. I also refuse to spend money on CBT sessions, pyramid schemes, and trips to Antarctica. Story 115. Fast food delivery. I have actually been close to placing an order and just cannot bring myself to spend that much. Story 116. Sadly, games. I will end up not playing the game eventually, and if I can still have fun without spending money, then I just don't pay for anything more. Every buck I've spent on a game, I've regretted. Story 117. Extended coverage plans. They are designed to last while the product parts won't fail, and they often include exclusions. But what if you get something and it's defective or a part breaks off really early? Well, for electronics appliances, SCARs, they often have a free manufacturer coverage. Story 118. Phone. I refuse to buy a phone unless I really need one. I don't understand people who buy phones just to have the newest version. To me, that is such an unnecessary purchase and kind of a waste of money. Story 119. A lot of things, but tipping irks me the most. I am sorry, no dislike against anyone, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Story 120. Apple products cause screw Apple. Designer clothes because the only difference to normal clothes is just the name. And lastly, work like if you have to pay to keep your job, like going to functions parties and crap like that. I'd much rather be fired or quit than work at a job like that. Story 121. Transport fares, fuel costs if I have the time to walk or cycle. I'm lucky enough to have the ability to do that when a lot of people can't, so I'm not going to waste it. Story 122. Car detailing. It'll pay for the occasional exterior wash when I don't want to do it myself because it's relatively low cost compared to the time it would take me. 20 to save myself 30 men is fine. But for an interior detail, it takes me less than 2 hours total, and the amount places charge for detailing is insane. I've seen anywhere from $250 to $500. Granted, it's a pain to get out vacuum, carpet cleaner, leather treatment, etc. But I can't justify paying over $100 for something I can do myself. Story 123. A plumber or an electrician. I've worked in large building maintenance for 30 years, so I refuse to pay either to do work in my house when I can do it myself for 25 of the cost. Story 124. Manipitis, massages, facials, waxing. I'm way too self-conscious to enjoy myself, and my nails break too easily anyway. Story 125. Food delivery services, McDonald's. Anything at Target, anything at Dollar Tree or any of those types of stores. Boutique stores. Story 126. Microtransactions in games, especially if I had to buy the game to start playing it. I had hoped the movement would have caught on and taught gaming companies that we won't tolerate it. We want full and complete games. But people can't resist impulse control, I guess. Story 127. Websites that exist to steal your credit card and personal info like Wish, Temu, etc. It's more fun to buy the silly junk you will regret at a real store. Story 128. Scratch cards. I've seen people like my mom win money. The most is $1,000 before tax. But it's such a gamble. Not looking down on people that do it. If you have the money, then go for it. Personally, I don't think it's worth my investment. Story 129. I won't fork out for name brands of clothing, etc. unless it's a gift for someone else. I might buy it if it's on sale, but full retail price? Not a chance. Story 130. Botox, filler, and other beauty-enhancing procedures. I'm perfectly happy looking like an actual human who feels emotions. Story 131. Water, TBH, I dislike all water with the exception of 2 brands, and I have a filter, not carbon, it's not chlorine that I dislike, that renders tap water drinkable. Story 132. Pretty much any Android device. I'm an iPhone person, although I've been looking at Google Pixels. YouTube Premium, I'm not paying $19 a month, even $14, if I don't go through Apple Pay, just so that I can have ad-free videos because I don't care about any of the other benefits offered by Premium. The Pro iPhones, the base models, are completely fine. Anything Verizon, I don't pay for my cell service because I am only a teenager and I'm unemployed at that, and my family has Verizon. It's terrible. Any Amazon smart home device other than maybe the Amazon Echo, the 19 Apple polishing cloth, the Apple Vision Pro. Story 133. New cars, Starbucks, lottery tickets, life insurance annuities, DoorDash, ultra-premium fashion brands like Rolex and Gucci, solar panels. Story 134. I really dislike to spend it on air. But what are you gonna do? There's nothing but air around us, but we have to pay for it to go into a tire if it's low. Dislike that. Story 135. Cloud storage bottled water, unless traveling in a country where water is not plentiful and safe. Adult beverage, coffee, and tobacco. Story 136. Water. Water should be freaking free. I'm not paying for a bottle. I'll literally drink water from the sink before I spend money on it. Story 137. My sister lives in Manhattan. Her old bagel place charged 25 cents for cream cheese. Not my bag, baby. Story 138. Expensive makeup. When it comes to makeup, the only thing that needs to be high quality is the foundation. Everything else can be cheap. Story 139. The Switch 2, I can afford it right now, but I ain't spending $700 to get a Switch 2 and Mario Kart. When Luigi's Mansion becomes available on the GameCube emulator, I may not have such self-control though. Edit. I'm Canadian, and that's how much it is looking online. I haven't even looked in store yet. Story 140. Starbucks. Any Anheuser-Busch AB InBev product, any Coors product, any Exxon Chevron Shell product, any Ford Dodge Jeep product, of course any XT product, so many more. Story 141. Any article recipe that requires a subscription. I know people got to make their money, but clicking on an article and having a subscription box block, it just pisses me off. Story 142. Parking and delivery. I'll do curbside pickup any day, any weather, unless I tipsy, in which case I already stocked up. I'll hunt for that parking spot or risk a ticket on 2-hour parking. Story 143. Delivery. It baffles me that we've become so lazy as a society that we are willing to spend the extra on DoorDash. Doubling the price of your own order just because you won't get off your jerk to go get it is idiocracy territory to me. Y'all figured it out before COVID, and now we're inching closer and closer to the people in Wall-E that exist in floating chairs. Story 144. I stopped buying books 2 decades ago. Used to buy a ton. My taxes already pay for amazing libraries. I is the hell out of mine. Story 145. Most games at full price, as I don't want to spend 60-70 euro on a game. I might regret buying, especially if I can either wait for it to be on a discount or just find it for free or use Game Pass. Story 146. Games over the price of 60, there's no way I'm paying a day and a half worth of a salary just for some pretty graphics and colors. Story 147. Expedited shipping and physical media. Back in the 90s, early ear zeros, I would have happily done it. But in this day and age, physical media is a dying breed. Story 148. Rice when ordering an Indian takeaway when I have a 15-kilo bag and a rice cooker at home. Oh dear, I've become my mother. Story 149. Gambling and microtransactions. Sometimes they are the same thing. Also petrol, EV, and soon enough gas when I get rid of my boiler and upgrade to heat pump, already cooking with induction. Story 150. Parking. My taxes maintain these streets. I should be able to park my car while I'm doing what I need to do away from home. Story 151. Bags at the grocery store. Judge me if you want. I don't care. I'm not going to spend over $100 at the grocery store and then pay on $35 per bag when it doesn't even cost that much for them to make the bag. Story 152. New clothes. I thrift everything other than underwear. Why would I spend like $60-70 on jeans when I can thrift them for $8? I haven't paid retail for clothes in years. Story 153. An inherited house, especially an old one. I'm selling mine because I don't want to deal with tenants. Story 154. Getting my hair done. I guess once in a blue moon it's fine, but these salon workers charge up the jerk. I'd rather just buy box color and call it a day. I'm not paying you $150 just for a color highlight and cut. Story 155. Early access. Publishers just moved the launch date back from Tuesday to Friday to sell early access to the classic Tuesday launch. Story 156. Starbucks, Apple products, anything made by GM for my own personal transportation, a home built by D.R. Horton, electric yard equipment for my big jerk yard, lawn services in general, they all seem to do such a half-jerk job, and I always have to go back after them. Seating that isn't leather, cheap furniture in general, buy once, cry once. Bud Light, off-brand tires, oil changes at places. All it took was one double gasket on a 20K engine that I just had custom built, and now I do them all myself. We'll revisit when I'm too old to do it. Story 157. Definitely shipping. My 17-year-old son ordered something on the TikTok shop and paid $14 for shipping. I have failed as a parent. Story 158. Cable television. Cable used to be 30 fine tiramisu with all things adult included. Really good movies. Few repeats, cursing, everything. I have an exciting life of my own. I find it difficult to justify paying more than $70-80 for television programming packages. Story 159. Amazon Prime, manicures, pedicures, food delivery unless I am sick. Cable TV, I do have Netflix, but no other TV. Story 160. Bottled water. I buy a new Brita filter every couple months and use the water I already have to pay for LOL. Story 161. Designer clothes and expensive handbags. They outsource it from China and sell it at a deadly markup. Story 162. Anything in Fortnite. I'm determined to get the most out of the game being free and haven't spent a penny, despite how tempting some of the skins and emotes are. Story 163. Shipping on online orders usually, unless I'm getting a great deal on the item I'm buying. Delivery for food, I'd rather just go pick it up myself, unless under the influence. House decor, I'm a regular at the Goodwills around here. Any online social media, anything. If it's YouTube members only, then I won't be seeing it. Same goes for Instagram, Patreon, and anything else like it. Cable, we don't use it. And I watch the same 5 shows on Netflix. Also, I thrift my fave shows movies on DVD. Story 164. Ultra high-class restaurants. I've gone to a few before, and I'm not saying the food is bad. I'm sure it's delicious. But how does one bite of salmon end up costing $200? I could eat an entire fish for that price and still have change for fries. Even if I were a billionaire, it'd probably still hit up a regular diner or even a fast food joint. I just can't justify paying gourmet prices for microscopic portions. At that point, I'm not eating. I'm funding an art installation on a plate. Story 165. Home renovations. And then I refuse to come to terms with the fact that I probably should have hired the job out after it takes me 4 months, 5 days, 15 hours, 44 minutes, and 48 seconds. And it still isn't complete. El Mao, I saved about 10K though. Edited. Saved to saved. Story 166. Literally anything I can do myself. I do my own yard, wash my own cars, coffee at home. Why pay someone else for the simple things? Oh, and food delivery. Get off your jerk and pick it up or make it home. Small rant. LOL. Story 167. Parking. I will walk 10 blocks to get a free parking spot. NP, I bet I spent less than $100 on parking in the last 15 years. Story 168. Toll roads and metro tickets. I know we'll get disliked for this one, but roads should be free to travel no matter what. So yeah, I cover my plate on motorcycle and for metro public transportation. I'm Justin Jerk and will hop the turntable. Story 169. Luxury is just insecurity with a price tag. No designer brands, no overpriced junk, no status chasing. I buy tools, not trophies. Comfort is fine. Excess is stupid. Story 170. Anything at work. I pack my lunch, drink water, and stay away from anything that isn't free. I'm there to make money, not spend it. Story 171. Restaurant breakfast for eggs and toast, or Avo on toast, with 10,000 markup. I'd rather be in my own quiet home in comfortable pajamas, maybe watching cartoons. Story 172. When traveling, most recent example in Mexico whilst on a cruise, paying to use the bathroom. I refused and waited till I was back on the ship so I can take a shoot. Story 173. Gambling, lottery tickets, valet parking, expensive bread. $6 for a loaf of decent bread is ridiculous. I make my own. Brand name stuff a lot of the time is identical to the regular kind and is way more expensive. I have a long list of stuff I won't pay good money for. Today I took Basic 4 cereal off that list. The price went down to what it used to be. I have a limit of what I am willing to pay for a given item. Story 174. Rhubarb and blackberries. Blackberries you should pick for yourself, you lazy bastard. Rhubarb should be thrust on you by a weary relative with a patch because we're fudge sick of eating it. Story 175. For some services, this may not be feasible, but for me, streaming services, I listen to YouTube with ads or rent movies from the library. I've saved about $500 a year just from canceling out the bulk of my subscription services. I do still pay for my online Nintendo membership, however. Story 176. Luxury items, name brand clothing, purses, shoes, furniture. After China exposed luxury brands and their manufacturers, I get secondhand embarrassment seeing people flaunt a 6K purse that was made in China for 20. Story 177. Streaming services. No Spotify, no Netflix, no nothing. YouTube to MP3 for music. 123 movies for shows and movies. Story 178. Delivery services, Uber Eats, etc. Gambling, in-app purchases. And only if I really need a coffee will I buy from Starbucks or Dunkin'. Home coffee is just fine. I want to retire someday. None of those expenses are worth me working extra years to have them. Story 179. Non-alcoholic drinks like soft drinks or tea at sit-down restaurants. For a drink for family of 4 basically pays for another meal, appetizer, or dessert we can share. And this is coming from someone who works in a sit-down restaurant. I don't even charge some of my regulars for their non-alcoholic drinks. Story 180. I try to avoid big-name brands, especially when it comes to clothing. I don't like labels on me unless it's a band shirt. Story 181. Human organs unless it's necessary recreational substances apart from adult beverage. I'll tell you if there's any more, I'll spend money on anime pillows. A keyboard, the instrument. I don't like it, and if I need one, I'll try and borrow it from someone. Lastly, I refuse to spend money on food that tastes bad. If I did, it was a mistake that I'll try not to repeat again. Story 182. Coffee syrup. You're literally just dissolving sugar into water, maybe adding a bit of vanilla. You can go crazy and add fruits, extracts, chocolate, whatever, but basically you take 1 or 2 cups sugar and a cup of water and bring it to a low boil over medium heat, take it off, stir in some vanilla, and you've got your syrup. So you can use the equivalent of 25 worth of sugar and some tap water, or you could pay $17 for the same exact thing, plus artificial flavors. Story 183. Trends. I don't care how cute a Lababu or Stanley Cup is. I'm not a sheep who follows trends that will die in a couple months. Story 184. An expensive car. I refuse to buy a car I cannot afford because all my friends are driving cars they cannot afford. I look for reliability and safety because I was in a wreck that totaled my car, but I did not have a scratch on me. They hit me right in the driver's door going about 60 miles. Story 185. Car wash. It's rains, bro. Stop using up precious resources and contaminating the environment so our car looks nice. Wait for a few rainy day and the bird poop will come off. Story 186. Drinks. I haven't bought milk in over a decade. I haven't bought any form of canned or bottled drinks in 7 years. Story 187. Everything that's not food, really. No one deserves my money. I fix everything myself. No products deserves my money. I don't need 99 of them. In fact, I wish most of them go out of business, but they won't because apparently not buying crap is rare. Story 188. I grew up in South Texas and moved to New York. I keep my thermostat at about 62 in the winter because I grew up in the heat and I refuse to pay for it. I will pay for AC, but I dislike paying for heat. Story 189. Garbage bags because it is spending money on something that will eventually be thrown out. I will go out of my way to reuse a plastic bag. Shipping mailers are great because a lot of them now say, reuse me, and there's an extra line of adhesive for you to peel and stick close. And they're very leak resistant. If I don't trust a bag is leak-proof, I'll use it in the bathroom or office garbage where nothing leaky gets thrown out. My spouse dislikes it, but I've taken it upon myself to be the one to take out the trash so he doesn't have to deal with it. Story 190. Nordic track workouts on my treadmill. I refuse to pay a monthly fee to use my own treadmill. Now they've started to force me to unplug it before I use it because I won't sign up. Fudge you, Nordic Track. Story 191. I refuse to give money to friends for their vice, substances. I would be so guilty if I supported something that lead to a bad accident or decision later that night. Story 192. Brand anything. I am not paying more if I'm not getting more, regardless of the product. And even if I am getting more, I want to feel I'm getting my money's worth. Story 193. Food delivery apps. It's so tempting sometimes, but I'm not paying $39 for a sandwich and chips when I can drive 5 minutes down the road and get the same meal for $12. Story 194. A handbag, especially the outrageously expensive ones. All I need are pockets, which are hard to find in women's clothing, but I won't buy pants or a skirt that doesn't have them. The only bag I need are larger ones for my laptop, etc. Story 195. Laundry outside of obviously paying for the water electricity bill. I refuse to pay for laundry. I'll drive to my mom's house or a friend's house and pay for the gas money. Story 196. Netflix. I will do other streaming services, just not Netflix. The reason is simple. They bought the international streaming rights to an Italian soap opera that glorified the trafficking of teen girls. I'm a man who has survived intimacy trafficking. Story 197. Redoing the kitchen and bathrooms in my house just to keep up with the neighbors. I also am amazed when I see people buy a house that has nothing wrong with it and have it done over to be the way they wanted it. I see people spending tens of thousands of dollars just to redo a garage and make it look like a man cave just to look cool online. Story 198. Streaming services that force you to watch ads unless you pay an ever-rising cost for premium. Looking at you, Netflix. Story 199. Coffee from a coffee shop chain or cappuccino, latte, froth this, soy that. We make a pot of coffee, Folgers Black Silk, at home every weekday morning. On weekends, we splurge and have flavored coffee, usually whatever is on sale or seasonal, like peppermint mocha at Christmas. Story 200. Haircuts. I taught myself how to cut my own hair in my early 20s. Messed up here and there the first few times and then got the hang of it. Currently, I'm just letting it grow, but I got really good at it. Story 201. Expedited shipping. Nothing is worth the extra to get your package delivered a couple days sooner. I can wait. Makes it. Story 202. AAA video games, overpriced brand clothes, monthly subscription streaming platforms, new cars, vehicles, machines, car cleaning places, gold ingots. Story 203. Any brand name things. I'm not spending extra money on a brand name when you can get something the same quality from anywhere else. Story 204. Paying for in-game money for extra perks, expedited shipping, an Apple iPhone, subscriptions for apps I will rarely use. Story 205. Gaming. It is absolutely useless and gives you nothing than satisfaction of getting a certain skin special rewards. Just no. Maybe save your money for real life instead. Story 206. PlayStation. Never had one. I find it actually concerning how easily youngsters end up addicted to digital environments. Story 207. I rarely gamble, don't make in-app purchases, and do my best to avoid buying anything at a gas station or pharmacy, other than gas and medicine. Story 208. Not that I refuse, but I try not to eat out very often. Learning to cook is cheaper, and you know what goes into your food. Story 209. Adult content. Edited to add that I'm not anti-adult content, but with all the free options available, if I feel like I need to start spending money on it, then I need to re-examine things. Story 210. Fast fashion, specifically Shein, Temu, etc. I have a few articles from years ago that I still have and wear regularly, and I think the quality is okay. But after learning about the horrid working conditions and how much they contribute to global pollution, I put a hard stop to any purchasing I was going to do. They also steal designs from artists. I can guarantee you if an original clothing item accessory from a legitimate designer goes viral, cheap knockoffs will follow. Happened to someone on Instagram who designed a really cute bag with a built-in bottle holder. Had to stop selling them because the sale of the knockoffs was stealing business from her, and she couldn't compete. Story 211. Expensive cloths. I will not pay more to wear a brand. I only buy 3 or even 5 packs of no-name t-shirts. All I need is that it's made from cotton. Story 212. We refuse to buy Hallmark and other expensive cards for everything. Add up all those birthday, Christmas, graduation, anniversary, Easter, etc. cards and what an expense it adds up to. We buy a book or journal instead or just write on the wrapping paper. It is only very occasional that we'll buy a card, and we try not to pick an 8 one. Story 213. Getting to the point of any convenience foods from the grocery store. I'm not talking box mix stuff. I'm talking ready to heat and eat. I used to enjoy it as a break from cooking or when I was just too tired. But shrinkflation has hit the frozen aisles hard. Even frozen burritos are half the size they used to be. Story 214. Fake nails or manicures. Most restaurant jobs don't allow them anyways. It honestly shocks me when some people brag about how broke they are while they say it with the whole makeover. Fresh manicure, waxed eyebrows, new haircut, and full face of makeup, and still saying they are broke after they spent a bunch of money on their looks. Story 215. Overpriced fades. I refuse and will not pay $50 for a fade. GTFO. I need them every other week. That's insanity. I don't need no hour either. Story 216. Subscription services. I'm not paying for movies, music, apps, anything. As long as the quality keeps going down and the prices keep going up, I'm sailing the seas as much as I can. Story 217. Storage units. Why pay to keep crap that is likely worth less than the fees over time? I knew someone who had multiple units, probably between 600, 800 Western, because they couldn't let go of their worthless junk, everything from Beanie Babies to Christmas stuff to clothes and fabric. Story 218. McDonald's, take your $4 hash browns and shove it up your jerk. You can get 3 hash browns at McDonald's or get at Chili's. Unlimited chips, a good burger, and enough fries that equates to those 3 hash browns. G fudge whiz McDonald's. Why are your sales down? Story 219. Smartwatches. They're mostly just expensive accessories to brag about. I've seen countless people wearing them, not even aware of half the features. Story 220. Any data app plans to make you get more likes. I'm accepting that they are rigged, especially for men. Story 221. Bottled water. Living in Lincolnshire, UK. I've been told previously that here, we have no fluoride added and it's spring water. Whether it's true or not, I have no idea. The water from the tap where I live literally tastes like bottled water. I dislike the idea of paying for bottled water when I'm out and about. Story 222. Materialistic items. Do not need the big house because I can afford it, or new cars if I cannot use the bank's money at zero money. Starbucks, golf membership, expensive clothes, so on. Story 223. Gambling in general for money and paywalls on YouTube, online newspapers and mags, etc. Also on iPhone games, which I play often but never buy anything. I am so far from being a whale that I am a tiny one-celled form of algae. But if I like a game or YouTube channel, I give them word-of-mouth advertising and also lend them my eyeballs to watch their endless ads. The only exception is professional subscriptions needed for my paying work, but a lot of that is now free on the net. Turns out a lot of researchers who publish in journals don't like paywalls any more than I do. Story 224. Spotify. I grew up with terrestrial radio. I can deal with your commercials before I add another bill. Story 225. Anything Apple. Because they snatch away my freedom to choose. A friend of mine bought a smartphone from Apple. Now he has a tablet, laptop, even the Bluetooth earphones, smartwatch from the same brand. Story 226. OnlyFans fast food DoorDash, or any food delivery. Pre-made packaged food at the grocery store, oatmeal, pancakes, or salad at restaurants. Story 227. Bags at Goodwill. I refuse to pay for a bag, and I don't care how unconvinced I am. Not gonna do it ever. Story 228. Discord Nitro for myself. I get it as a gift from my boyfriend or some other good friends every now and then. Once, LOL, but yeah, definitely Discord Nitro. And any of their ridiculous avatar decorations that you somehow still have to buy separately in their shop without Nitro. Especially not those, goodness. Story 229. YouTube Premium. I remember an ad-free YouTube. Their tactics to overload you with ads is malicious AF. I won't give in to it. Story 230. Bottled water. I already pay for clean tap water and have reusable bottles. Why pay extra for the same thing in plastic? Story 231. Phone games. I will play a free game for years to get to level 50 or whatever before I buy a single extra thing. Story 232. Doing my nails. Once I stopped painting them and doing anything to them, they grew in so healthy. They're stronger and they don't peel anymore at all. Story 233. Toilet paper. I have no idea why, but my mom always buys TP when it's on sale, and she has just given it to me for the past 20 years. Story 234. It was Apple products, but I found an Apple Pencil 2 for $60, and I'm about to invest in an iPad for Procreate. Story 235. Those Lenore Unstoppables fresh scent boosters, I honestly believe they are just the excuse for you to spend more money. Story 236. Any sort of subscription service that exists primarily to remove ads. You can be sure as hell I'll be using an ad blocker or a patched install of an app for things like YouTube, Spotify, Reddit, etc. Story 237. Botox or fillers. I'd rather spend money on a solid skincare routine. Also the sunbed. Why would I want to spend money on what is essentially burning my skin? We'll rather just pay for a good fake tanner or spray tan. Story 238. The lottery scratch-off tickets gambling. Yes is a chance you might win, but to me it's just throwing away money. Story 239. The admission price for going up the Space Needle. I am offended by the cost of riding that elevator. Story 240. Anything from Heinz, Kellogg's, Nescafe, McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Pret. Haven't for a couple of years now. Story 241. Flowers. They are a literal waste of money. You pay for something that dies within days of purchase. Story 242. Dasani waters at baseball games. Drink from the darn fountain or refill my Coke. Am not paying $6 for a water. Story 243. Lately it's been fast food. $18 for a 10-piece nugget meal is offensive. Even worse if you use DoorDash or Skip. No thanks. Story 244, delivery fees for food. Shoot costs just as much as the food, and then you're expected to tip on top of that. F that. Story 245, parking, if at all possible. The line of logic that I have to buy the car, then insurance, registration, and fuel to drive it is irritating enough as it is, but to pay extra to not drive it or have it on the road infuriates me. Doesn't matter if it's 25 cents a day or $100. I will go out of my way to avoid it. Story 246, shoes at the mall, like Jordans and etc. I'll go to Ross and spend the same amount on the shoes and have an outfit for each day of the week. Story 247, I do refuse to pay full price for most everything except food. Let someone else buy those Levi's brand new. Go thrift them. You can walk away getting 4 pairs of jeans for the price of 1. I refuse to pay full price. Story 248. I try to avoid valet parking if at all possible. Don't mind walking a block to park myself and save the money. Story 249. Food delivery. Be it at work, home, or wherever, I'm driving to the place and picking up the food. Not giving you 20 for a 15 meal. Story 250, Las Vegas. I go for work at least twice a year, and I refuse to spend a single penny of mine in that shithole town. Story 251, perfume, jewelry, makeup, anything along those lines? I just wait until I get it gifted. I only have 3 perfumes, all gifts, and they last so long. Or handed down egg or ring from an older sibling. Also, if I do buy SMT egg or lip balm, I only buy one of that thing. If it makes sense, you don't need 10 different lip products. It's overconsumption IDC. What anyone says, unless you're a makeup artist or SMT. Story 252. Whenever my grandma would buy a bed, she'd get them to throw in the box frame for free, so I do my best to get that these days. Story 253. This is quite a niche, but high-touch events. It's when you greet an idol celebrity before or after the concert, usually for Korean and Japanese idols. It's so fast. The staff push you right into the room and straight back out as the idol is waving at you like a caged animal, and you don't get to properly interact with them. They charge you usually $100 for that experience. Complete waste of time and money. Story 254. DoorDash delivery. If needed to, I'll order via DoorDash and pick up myself. No need to pay 2x the cost and run the risk of a bad delivery. Story 255. Anything from any businesses with Trump signs, or if I hear they're Republican. I don't spend my money at any corporations that donate to him or support them in any way. They are all complicit at this point. Story 256. This new concept of VIP upgrades, particularly at festivals. Went to Lido Festival yesterday. Ticket was nearly $90 for the day, which I paid. I was then bombarded with emails asking me for another $68 to upgrade to primary. This seemed to mean that you went in a slightly shorter queue and had access to different bars. Who needs this 2-tier system at festivals? Just another way to rinse you of even more cash or keep the poshos away from riffraff. It sucks. Story 257. Haircuts. Yes, my hair is extremely long. I've never liked the idea of having to go pay someone to cut my hair on a regular basis. I bought some decent shears and do simple trims or hunt split ends occasionally. I think the last time I had a haircut was when my mom paid for one in like 2007-8. Story 258. We watering my yard. Rain or bust. I will water when we go more than a week, but not even every other day. Story 259. Just about anything manufactured. I grow most of my own food and only buy exactly what I need. That said, the one thing I swore since I was a young man that I would never spend money on is intimacy. I am not against prostitution. I'm all for it. I just won't buy something that I can get for free. I know some argue and say about whining and dinning. That's nothing compared to what I know some people are paying. Story 260. Oil changes. Well, full service quick lube places. I do all my and my wife's oil changes, which is about $14, the price of having it done somewhere. Story 261. Luxury brand makeup toiletries. Ill stick with the OG brands you can buy at a normal grocery store or pharmacy. They work just as well as the stuff that's 2 or 3x the cost, if not better. Story 262. Tickets to anything with large crowds, any professional sporting, even etc. Food delivery, shoes with any brand name, sunglasses, cavemen didn't have them, no evidence they went blind, haircuts, warranties, I don't recall what else. Story 263. Designer or over-the-top products that sell items that are super expensive and not worth the hype price, Nike products or a channel bag. Story 264. Substances. I don't believe in it. You can escape for a little bit, but the problem will still be there once you sober up. I work my jerk off. I don't mind that, but I want something to show for it. Blowing all my money on dope and having nothing to show for it afterwards except problems is not worth my time or energy. Story 265. Peanut, almond, walnut butters. They're so easy to make, and you can make triple the amount of one size jar for less than half the cost of any store-bought jar. Story 266. Anything premium, warranties, anything car-related, no donations. Definitely saved more than $5K in last 3 years just by those. Story 267. Airbnbs and VRBOs of the world. The fees they tack on makes it a ripoff. Zero service, plus they expect the place to be immaculate, as if you weren't there yet, charge you $250 for the cleaning fee. Nope, deleted the apps of both. Greed yet again ruined a good idea. Story 268. Buying pizza. It's $20 for one mediocre, overbreaded, overcooked white flour pie with way too many vegetables and neither enough meat nor enough cheese, unless I spring for the 8 upgrades. I can make 2 whole wheat pizzas with custom seasoned crusts, rolled to the perfect thickness, baked to the perfect texture, and topped with quality ingredients in my favorite proportions for that same $20. No, I will not ever buy a pizza again. Story 269. I know this sounds ridiculous, but breadcrumbs. I have plenty of heels from bread, stray hot dog, and hamburger buns, etc. I save them in the freezer until I have enough to run through the food processor. After they're crumbs, I spread them out on a cookie sheet and let them dry out completely. Put them in an airtight container, and we're all set. Not paying $4.6 for someone else to do that. Story 270. Anything Apple. Any piece of clothing that's over 80 that isn't a suit, beer, most candy. Any home-released movie that isn't a 4K disc, Wi-Fi on an airplane, any sporting events, majority of streaming services. Story 271. Cock piercing. Won't do it myself because I don't want an infection, but I just can't justify the expense. Story 272. LOEF, microtransactions, and extended warranties. Especially since the last time I sent a product to warranty, keyboard with 2 broken switches, they decided to issue a refund instead of fixing it. So probably it ended up as another piece of e-waste, a similar.